The cold floodwater reaches my ankles as I stand here in my wedding dress, watching the red taillights of Ethan's car disappear into the storm. Through the back window, I can see Melissa's silhouette throwing her head back in laughter, probably telling him how pathetic I looked standing there soaked to the bone. Yes, my wedding dress, because this was supposed to be our 5th anniversary dinner, a celebration of our love, but instead I found them tangled in our bed, in our home, destroying everything I thought was sacred. You want to know how I got here? How Clara Morrison, the woman who baked cookies for the neighbourhood kids and never missed a single one of Ethan's work events, ended up abandoned in a flood like yesterday's garbage. Let me take you back to 3 hours ago when my world exploded. I was running late from the salon, my hair perfectly curled, for our anniversary dinner at Chez Laurent, the same restaurant where Ethan proposed 5 years ago. I'd worn the same dress, thinking it would be romantic, thinking maybe we could recapture what we'd lost. God, how stupid I was. I fumbled with my keys at our front door, practically bouncing with excitement because I'd planned something special. A surprise renewal of our vows right there in the restaurant. But the house was too quiet when I walked in. Ethan's car was in the driveway, so where was he? Then I heard it, a sound that made my blood freeze. Melissa's laugh coming from upstairs, from our bedroom. My best friend since college, the woman who'd been my maid of honour, who'd cried with me through 3 miscarriages, who'd held my hand when my mother died. I climbed those stairs like I was walking to my own execution, each step echoing in my chest. The bedroom door was cracked open, and what I saw through that sliver of space destroyed me. Ethan, my husband of 5 years, with his hands tangled in Melissa's red hair, kissing her neck the way he used to kiss mine. The way he hadn't kissed mine in over 2 years. They were so lost in each other, they didn't hear me push the door open. I stood there for what felt like hours, but was probably only seconds, watching my entire life crumble. Ethan was whispering something in her ear that made her giggle, and then she said it. The words that still ring in my ears. I can't wait until she's finally out of the picture. Then we can have everything we want. That's when I dropped my purse. The sound echoed like a gunshot, and they both turned. I'll never forget the look on Ethan's face. Not guilt, not shame, but annoyance. Like I was the one interrupting something sacred, instead of catching my husband cheating with my best friend in our marital bed. Clara. He didn't even have the decency to look embarrassed as he climbed off her. We need to talk. Talk? My voice came out as a whisper. You want to talk? While she's naked in our bed? Melissa sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. My sheets, the ones I just washed that morning, and had the audacity to look me in the eye. Clara, I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but Ethan and we're in love. We have been for months. Months. They'd been carrying on for months while I planned anniversary dinners and bought lingerie I thought might bring back the spark in our marriage. While I blamed myself for us growing apart, they were planning my replacement. Get out! The words came from somewhere deep inside me, a place I didn't know existed. Both of you, get out of my house. Ethan laughed, actually laughed. Your house? Clara, sweetheart, check the deed. This house is in both our names, and after the divorce, Melissa and I will probably keep it. You can find somewhere else to play house. Divorce. He said it so casually, like he was discussing the weather. 5 years of marriage dismissed with one word. That's when the storm outside started getting worse, rain pelting against the windows like bullets. The weather service had been warning about flash floods all day, but I'd been too focused on our anniversary to pay attention. Now, the irony wasn't lost on me, a storm outside to match the one destroying my life inside. I turned and walked downstairs, my legs somehow carrying me even though I felt like I was drowning. They followed, Ethan pulling on his jeans, Melissa wrapped in my robe. They didn't even try to hide what they were doing anymore. Where are you going? Ethan called after me. To get some air. To think. I grabbed my keys from the hall table, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold them. In this storm? Clara, don't be dramatic. Dramatic. He called me dramatic for needing space after catching him in bed with my best friend. But I went outside anyway, into the rain that was coming down in sheets now. The storm drains were already overflowing, water rushing down our street like a river. That's when they came out together, Ethan with his arm around Melissa like they were already playing house. He had his keys in his hand, walking toward his car. "Where are you going?" I called over the wind. "Out!" He opened the passenger door for Melissa, the same gesture he used to make for me. "Melissa and I are going to dinner. You should probably go inside before you catch pneumonia." "It's our anniversary, Ethan. We had reservations." He paused, one hand on the car door, and looked at me with something that might have been pity. "Clara, we're done. The anniversary, the marriage, all of it. I'll have my lawyer call you next week." "You can't just leave me here. The roads are flooding. The city issued an evacuation warning. You're a grown woman. Figure it out." He slammed the door and walked around to the driver's side. "Maybe the flood will wash away all that nagging for good." And then they drove off just like that. Left me standing in rising flood water in my wedding dress while they went off to start their new life together. The water is at my knees now, and I can barely see their taillights anymore. Emergency sirens are wailing through the city, and I'm thinking, this is it. This is how Clara Morrison dies. Abandoned and betrayed, drowning in more ways than one. But then something strange happens. The water that should be pulling me down feels different. Warm, almost welcoming. Instead of fighting it, I let myself sink. Let it carry me away from this street, from this life, from the woman who was stupid enough to believe in happy endings. The last thing I remember is the water closing over my head and thinking that maybe this is exactly what I needed. Maybe Clara Morrison needed to die tonight so someone stronger could take her place. What Ethan and Melissa don't know is that sometimes the best revenge is letting people think they've won. And sometimes when you drown, you don't die. You transform into something much more dangerous. The storm is washing me away, but it's not washing me out. It's washing me clean, preparing me for what comes next. Because this isn't the end of my story. It's just the beginning of theirs. I wake up to the sound of machines beeping and the sterile smell of disinfectant burning my nostrils. My eyelids feel like they're made of lead, but I force them open to see white ceiling tiles and fluorescent lights that make me squint. A nurse in pink scrubs is checking something on a monitor beside my bed. "Oh, good, you're awake." She turns to me with a smile that's too bright for how I feel. "I'm Sarah. You've been unconscious for 3 days, honey. We weren't sure when you'd come around." 3 days? I try to speak, but my throat feels like sandpaper. She holds a cup of water to my lips, and I drink greedily, the cool liquid awakening parts of me I didn't know were asleep. "What happened to me?" My voice comes out as a croak. "You were found by the riverbank during the flood cleanup. Hypothermia, nearly drowned. You're lucky to be alive." Sarah adjusts my blanket with practiced efficiency. "A jogger found you caught in some debris about 2 miles downstream from the Riverside District. Do you remember anything?" Riverside District. That's nowhere near where Ethan and Melissa left me. The flood must have carried me further than I thought. But as I try to piece together the memories, something feels different. Wrong, but also right in a way I can't explain. "I need a mirror," I whisper. Sarah hesitates. "Honey, you've been through trauma. Maybe you should rest. Please, I need to see myself." She brings me a small hand mirror, and I almost drop it when I see my reflection. It's me, but not me. My face is thinner, more angular. My eyes, usually a soft brown, now seem darker, more intense. Even my hair looks different. Still the same dark blonde, but somehow it frames my face in a way that makes me look dangerous. "The doctors said sometimes trauma can change people," Sarah says gently. "Not just emotionally, but physically too. Stress does strange things to the human body, but it's not just my appearance. As I lie here in this hospital bed, memories are flooding back, except they're not all mine. I remember things I shouldn't know, like Ethan's password to his laptop is Melissa 2019, the year their affair started, a full year before I caught them. I remember conversations I never heard, like Melissa telling her sister she was going to get everything Clara has because she deserves better. More disturbing are the financial details suddenly crystal clear in my mind. Ethan's construction company is hemorrhaging money because he's been embezzling funds to pay for expensive gifts for Melissa. The diamond bracelet he said was from his bonus. The weekend trips he claimed were work conferences. The company will be bankrupt within 6 weeks. And Melissa's trust fund? The money she claims her grandmother left her? It's not a trust fund at all. After her grandmother died, Melissa found a way to access the old woman's accounts before the will was read. She's been living off stolen money for 2 years, money that legally belongs to her cousin in Portland, who has no idea it exists. How do I know all this? The knowledge sits in my brain like it's always been there, as natural as knowing my own name. But Clara Morrison was never this observant, never this calculating. Clara Morrison trusted people, believed the best in everyone. A doctor walks in, clipboard in hand, tall, with greying hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Mrs. Morrison, I'm Dr. Phillips. How are you feeling?" "Different," I answer honestly. "Like, I'm not the same person who went into that flood." He nods as like this makes perfect sense. Near-death experiences can be transformative. Many patients report feeling like they've gained new perspectives, sometimes even new abilities. Enhanced intuition, better memory, increased focus. The brain is remarkable at rewiring itself after trauma. New abilities. Is that what this is? Because I don't just remember things I shouldn't know. I'm seeing patterns I never noticed before. The way Dr. Phillips keeps glancing at his wedding ring tells me he's having marital problems. The nurse Sarah's constant fidgeting suggests she's hiding something, probably an addiction to those pain pills she keeps checking in her pocket. "When can I leave?" I ask. "Tomorrow morning, if you're feeling up to it. Is there someone we can call to pick you up? Your emergency contact listed your husband." "No." The word comes out sharper than intended. "I'll arrange my own transportation." After they leave, I use the phone beside my bed to call the only person I can think of. My lawyer, Marcus Webb. We'd used him for the house purchase and our wills. Simple stuff. "Clara, my God, I heard about the flood. Are you all right?" "I need to see you as soon as possible, Marcus. There are things I need to discuss about my marriage." "Of course. Are you thinking about separation proceedings?" "Among other things." I pause, letting this new version of myself take control. "I also need you to look into some financial irregularities. I believe my husband has been embezzling from his company, and I have information about fraud involving substantial amounts of money." There's silence on the other end. Marcus knew the old Clara, the one who baked cookies and avoided conflict. This Clara is someone else entirely. Yes, of course. Can you be in my office Thursday morning?" "I'll be there." After I hang up, I call a cab company and arrange for pickup tomorrow. Then, I do something the old Clara never would have done. I call Ethan's business partner, David Chen. "Clara, Jesus, we heard about the flood. Ethan said you were missing." "I'm fine, David, but I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Have you noticed any discrepancies in the company accounts lately?" Another pause. I am getting used to these shocked silences. "Why would you ask that?" "Because I think my husband has been stealing from your company, and I think you've suspected it but been too loyal to confront him about it." "Clara, I can't." "David, your business is going to be bankrupt in 6 weeks if someone doesn't stop him. Check the expense reports for the last 18 months. Cross-reference them with the dates of his supposed business trips. You'll find he's been billing the company for personal expenses, including some very expensive jewellery that never made it onto any job site. How could you possibly know? I hang up before he can finish the question, because I can't explain how I know. All I know is that Clara Morrison went into that flood as a victim, and someone else came out. The next morning, I am discharged wearing clothes from the hospital lost and found, jeans and a sweater that actually fit better than my old clothes did. As I wait for my taxi, I catch my reflection in the lobby windows again. The woman staring back at me looks capable of things the old Clara never imagined. The cab drops me at a hotel downtown, the Riverside Marriott. I pay cash and check in under my maiden name, Clara Hartwell. In my room, I open my laptop and start researching. Within an hour, I've confirmed everything I somehow already knew about Ethan's embezzlement and traced 3 more fraudulent transactions I hadn't even suspected. But it's Melissa's situation that really captures my attention. Her grandmother's estate was worth $1.2 million, and Melissa has been systematically draining the accounts. The cousin in Portland, Emma Rodriguez, has been trying to contact her grandmother's lawyer for months about the delayed probate. A few phone calls later, and Emma knows exactly what happened to her inheritance. That evening, I'm sitting in the hotel bar when my phone rings. Ethan. Clara, thank God! Where the hell have you been? The police said you were missing. There's been search parties. I've been recovering. In the hospital. Hospital? From what? You just stormed off into the rain like a drama queen. From nearly drowning, Ethan. The flood carried me 2 miles downstream. I've been unconscious for 3 days. Silence, then. Are you okay? For the first time since I woke up, I smile. It's not a nice smile. I'm better than okay. I'm perfect. We need to talk. Clara, look, about the other night. Tomorrow, 7 p.m, Chez Laurent. You remember the place where you proposed, where we were supposed to have dinner before I found you in bed with my best friend? I don't think that's... Oh, but I do. And Ethan... Bring Melissa, I think it's time we all had an honest conversation about the future. I hang up before he can respond and order another wine. The woman in the bar mirror raises her glass in a toast. To Clara Hartwell, who died in a flood, and to whoever this is who took her place. Tomorrow night, Ethan and Melissa are going to learn that some people are much more dangerous when they have nothing left to lose. They think they destroyed me, think they can just move on with their stolen money and their stolen life. They have no idea what's coming for them. The old Clara would have cried herself to sleep tonight, would have begged them to take her back, would have blamed herself for their betrayal. But that woman drowned 3 nights ago in floodwater that tasted like rebirth. The woman sitting in this hotel bar has plans and patience, and most importantly, she has information that could destroy both of their lives completely. Let them enjoy these last few hours of thinking they've won. Tomorrow night, the real game begins. I spend the entire next day preparing like a general going to war. First stop, Marcus Webb's office, where I hand him a manila folder thick with evidence I've somehow compiled in just 18 hours. Bank statements, transaction records, email screenshots, all detailing Ethan's systematic theft from his construction company. Clara, how did you get all this? Marcus stares at the documents spread across his mahogany desk, his face pale. Some of these are internal company records. This level of embezzlement, we're talking federal charges. Let's just say I've become very resourceful recently. I lean back in the leather chair, feeling more comfortable in my own skin than I have in years. I need you to prepare divorce papers citing adultery and financial fraud. I want half of everything, including his business assets before they disappear into bankruptcy court. This is going to get ugly, Clara. Ethan won't go down without a fight. I smile, and Marcus actually flinches. The old Clara never smiled like that. I'm counting on it. My next stop is the bank, where I withdraw $5,000 in cash. Then to an upscale boutique downtown, where I buy a black dress that costs more than the old Clara spent on clothes in 6 months. It fits like it was made for me, hugging curves I never knew I had, making my transformed features look sharp and predatory. At 6:30, I'm standing outside Chez Laurent, watching through the window as Ethan and Melissa arrive. She's wearing the red dress she bought with her dead grandmother's money, the one she wore to seduce my husband. He's in the navy suit I bought him for Christmas, the one he said made him feel invincible. Tonight, they're going to learn what powerless feels like. I wait exactly 10 minutes, long enough for them to get comfortable, to start planning their future with my assets, before I make my entrance. The maitre d' recognizes me immediately, his eyes widening as he takes in my transformation. "Mrs. Morrison, we heard about the flood. Are you—" "I'm wonderful, Henri. My usual table, please." "But your husband and his companion are already—" "I know exactly where they are." I walk across the restaurant like I own it, every eye following me. The old Clara would have slunk in apologetically, would have avoided the stares. This version of me feeds off them. Ethan sees me first, his face going white as chalk. He drops his fork, and it clatters against his plate loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Melissa turns, and her champagne glass literally slips from her fingers, shattering against the floor in a spray of crystal and Dom Perignon. "Hello, darling." I slide into the empty chair at their table, the one they hadn't expected to be filled. "Melissa, you look guilty." "Clara." Ethan finds his voice first, though it cracks like he's going through puberty. "You look different." Nearly drowning will do that to a person. Amazing how clearly you can think when you're fighting for your life. I signal the waiter. "Champagne, please. We're celebrating." "Celebrating what?" Melissa finally speaks, her voice barely above a whisper. "New beginnings, fresh starts, the end of illusions." I lean forward, my elbows on the table. "How long, Melissa? How long were you planning to let me play the fool?" She glances at Ethan, looking for rescue that isn't coming. He's too busy staring at me like he's seeing a ghost. "Clara, we never meant for you to find out like that," she starts. "Oh, but you did," I interrupt, my voice conversational, pleasant even. "You meant for me to find out exactly like that. In our bedroom, in our bed, on our anniversary. You wanted it to hurt as much as possible, because that's the kind of person you've always been, isn't it? The kind who takes pleasure in other people's pain." The waiter brings my champagne and I raise it in a toast. To friendship, to marriage, to all the beautiful lies we tell ourselves. I drink, savouring the bubbles, while they sit frozen like deer in headlights. "I know about the money, by the way." I set my glass down gently. "All of it." Ethan's face goes from white to green. "What? Money?" "Oh, come on. We're past pretending now. The $127,000 you've embezzled from your construction company over the past 18 months. The fake expense reports, the phantom business trips, the equipment purchases that never happened. David Chen is meeting with the FBI tomorrow morning." Melissa grabs Ethan's arm, her perfectly manicured nails digging into his sleeve. "You said no one would find out." "Shut up," he hisses, but it's too late. I turn to her with mock sympathy. "And sweet Melissa, living off your dead grandmother's money, except it isn't yours, is it? Emma Rodriguez in Portland has been very interested to learn where her inheritance went. She's filing charges Monday." The colour drains from Melissa's face completely. She looks like she might faint. "How could you possibly know about the forged power of attorney? The falsified death certificates, the systematic draining of accounts that legally belong to someone else? I shrug. I've become very good at research lately. Ethan leans across the table, his voice low and threatening. What do you want, Clara? Want? I laugh, and the sound makes other diners turn to look. I don't want anything from you anymore, Ethan. I'm here to tell you what's going to happen. I pull out my phone and show them the screen. A conference call with David Chen, the FBI Financial Crimes Unit, and Emma Rodriguez's lawyer. This call starts in exactly 30 minutes. David is going to tell them everything about your embezzlement. Emma's lawyer is going to present evidence of Melissa's fraud, and I'm going to testify about how you both tried to murder me. Murder? Ethan's voice cracks. We didn't... You left your wife to die in a flood, Ethan. You drove away while emergency sirens were wailing, while the water was rising, while I was trapped with no way to get to safety. That's attempted murder in most states. Melissa starts crying, ugly sobs that smear her makeup. Please, Clara, we can work something out. Work something out? I stand up, smoothing my dress. You mean, like, how we worked out our friendship while you were sleeping with my husband? Like how Ethan worked out our marriage while he was stealing from his business partners? I drop a $100 bill on the table. Dinner's on me. Consider it a farewell gift. As I turn to leave, Ethan grabs my wrist. His grip is desperate, panicked. Clara, wait. We can talk about this. We can... I look down at his hand on my arm, then into his eyes. Take your hand off me. Something in my voice makes him let go immediately. The old Clara never spoke to him like that. Never looked at him like he was something she'd scrape off her shoe. You're both going to prison, I say quietly, so only they can hear. Ethan, you'll probably get 3 to 5 years for embezzlement. Melissa, fraud of this magnitude usually carries 7 to 10, and when you get out, you'll have nothing. No money, no reputation, no future. I lean down, speaking directly into Melissa's ear. You wanted everything I had? Congratulations. Now you can have my life, the one where everyone knows exactly what kind of person you really are. Walking away from that table, I feel lighter than I have in years. Behind me, I can hear Melissa's sobs getting louder, Ethan's voice rising as he tries to calm her down. Other diners are staring now, whispering, pointing. By tomorrow, everyone in our social circle will know what happened. By next week, it'll be in the local papers. By next month, they'll both be in federal custody. But as I step outside into the cool evening air, I realise something troubling. The satisfaction I expected to feel isn't there. Instead, there's something else. Something hungry and unsatisfied. Because what I told them in there wasn't entirely true. Yes, they're going to prison. Yes, their lives are ruined. But I didn't tell them the whole truth about that night in the flood. I didn't tell them that I remember drowning. I remember the water filling my lungs, the darkness closing in, the moment Clara Morrison actually died. And I didn't tell them what I remember about coming back, about the choice I was given in that darkness between life and death, about the price I paid for this new existence. Some revenge requires sacrifice, and sometimes the person who dies isn't the one everyone thinks. But they'll learn the truth soon enough. What they don't know yet is that this confrontation, it was just the appetizer. The main course is still coming. Walking away from that restaurant, I should feel victorious. I should feel like justice has been served. But instead, I feel hollow, like I'm missing something essential. That's when I notice the white limousine waiting at the curb, engine purring like a satisfied cat. The driver gets out, a tall man in a perfectly pressed uniform, and opens the rear door for me. I've never seen him before in my life, but somehow I'm not surprised he's here. Mrs. Morrison, he says in a voice like velvet, it's time. Time for what? But I find myself sliding into the back seat anyway, into leather so soft it feels like a cloud. The interior is all white seats, white carpet, white champagne bucket with a bottle chilling in ice. Even the lighting has an otherworldly white glow. As we pull away from the restaurant, I see Ethan and Melissa stumbling out onto the sidewalk. He's on his phone, probably calling his lawyer. She's still crying, her makeup running in black streams down her cheeks. They look pathetic, broken. Exactly how I wanted them to look. So why don't I feel satisfied? Because this was never about them, the driver says, reading my thoughts in the rearview mirror. This was about you. I should be terrified. I should demand he let me out. Instead, I pour myself a glass of champagne and settle back into the seat. Who are you? I think you already know. And somehow I do. He's connected to whatever happened in that flood, to this transformation, to the knowledge that appeared in my mind like it was always there. What did you do to me? What did I do? He laughs, and the sound sends chills down my spine. I didn't do anything, Clara. You did this to yourself. The limousine turns down a street I don't recognise, then another, until we're driving through a part of the city I have never seen before. The buildings here are older, covered in shadows that seem to move independently of the streetlights. Let me tell you what really happened that night, the driver continues. When the floodwater closed over your head, you did die. Clara Morrison, the woman who baked cookies and trusted everyone and believed in happy endings. She drowned. I take another sip of champagne, surprised to find my hands aren't shaking. Then who am I? You're who Clara Morrison always had the potential to become if she'd stopped being afraid of her own power. But potential isn't enough, is it? It takes sacrifice to become your true self. We're driving through a cemetery now, headstones stretching out in perfect rows under the moonlight. The limousine stops beside a fresh grave, the earth still dark with recent digging. Whose grave is that? I ask, though I already know. Read the headstone. I step out of the car and walk to the grave on legs that feel steadier than they have in years. The marble headstone is simple, elegant. Clara Morrison, beloved wife and friend, rest in peace. The woman they found by the riverbank, I whisper. The one who was unconscious for 3 days. That wasn't me. No, it wasn't. The driver appears beside me, and now I can see him clearly in the moonlight. He's beautiful in a terrifying way, with eyes like black diamonds, and a smile that promises everything you've ever wanted at a price you can't imagine. That was someone else entirely. Someone I found who looked just enough like you to fool a husband who hadn't really looked at his wife in years. The pieces click into place with sickening clarity. You had her play the part, the woman in the hospital bed, the one who woke up with impossible knowledge. That was all theatre. Very good. I knew you were smart. Smarter than Clara Morrison ever let herself be. The woman in that hospital bed was, let's call her an actress, someone desperate enough to take on a dangerous role for the right price. What happened to her? His smile widens. What do you think happened to her, Clara? The champagne suddenly tastes bitter in my mouth. You killed her. I prefer to think of it as completing the performance. She played Clara Morrison beautifully for those crucial first few days, didn't she? Long enough to establish the timeline, to create the backstory of your survival. But her job was always temporary. I staggered backward, my perfect revenge, suddenly feeling like ash in my mouth. So I really did die in the flood. Oh, yes. Clara Morrison died that night, betrayed and broken-hearted, exactly like her husband and best friend intended. But you... He reaches out and touches my face with fingers that feel like ice. You made a deal. In those final moments, when the water was filling your lungs, you called out for help, for power, for the ability to make them pay. The memory comes rushing back now, crystal clear. Floating in that dark water, consciousness fading, I had screamed into the void. I'll do anything for the power to destroy them. Anything. And I answered, he continues. I offered you a choice. Die as Clara Morrison, forgotten and pathetic, or become something else, something capable of the revenge you craved. What's the price? My voice sounds hollow, echoing. You already paid it, my dear. Your humanity, your capacity for mercy, for forgiveness, for love. Clara Morrison died with those things intact. You were born without them. He's right. Standing in that restaurant, watching Ethan and Melissa fall apart, I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. No pity, no regret, no echo of the love I once felt for them. It was like watching insects get crushed under someone's heel. The woman you've become is perfect for revenge, he says admiringly. Brilliant, ruthless, completely without conscience. You destroyed their lives tonight with the efficiency of a surgeon removing a tumour. But it wasn't enough. The words slip out before I can stop them. No, it wasn't. Because revenge is like a drug, Clara. The first hit is never enough. You want more. You want to hurt everyone who ever dismissed you, ever underestimated you, ever looked right through you like you didn't matter. He's right again. Even now, I'm thinking about Ethan's mother, who always made snide comments about my cooking, about my former boss, who passed me over for promotion 3 times, about every person who ever made me feel small. What am I whisper. You're what humans become when they trade their souls for power. You're perfect, Clara. You're everything the pathetic woman who died in that flood always dreamed of being. The limousine purrs behind us, waiting. I know if I get back in that car, there's no going back to any semblance of the life I once knew. But looking at Clara Morrison's grave, I realised there was never anything to go back to anyway. Where do we go now? I ask. Wherever you want. You have unlimited resources now, bank accounts, properties, connections I've arranged for you. All you have to do is keep doing what you do so well, which is destroying people who deserve it. And trust me, there are so many who deserve it. I take one last look at the headstone, at the name of a woman who believed in love and forgiveness and second chances. She seems like a stranger now, someone I heard about but never really knew. Getting back into the limousine feels like coming home. As we drive away from the cemetery, I catch my reflection in the window. The woman looking back at me is beautiful, powerful, and completely without mercy. She's everything Clara Morrison never had the courage to become. Tomorrow, the FBI will arrest Ethan and Melissa. Their lives will implode exactly as I planned. But that's just the beginning, because now I know what I really am, what I've really become. I'm not Clara Morrison's revenge. I'm not even Clara Morrison reborn. I'm something else entirely, something that feeds on the destruction of others, something that finds pure joy in watching the corrupt and cruel get exactly what they deserve, and there are so many who deserve it. The limousine turns onto the highway, carrying me toward a future full of perfect, beautiful revenge. Behind us, the city lights fade into darkness, and somewhere in that darkness, Clara Morrison sleeps peacefully in her grave. She got her happy ending after all. She just had to die to get it. As for me, my story is just beginning, and I can't wait to see who's next.